Today, everybody, we have got the return of the solo series. This is one of the best tournaments to prove yourself, try to get better teammates, and of course, trying to earn in it. And we're going to be taking a look at the best solo player in the world at the moment, which is, of course, Goatly. Oatly is, without a doubt in my mind, one of the strongest solo players in the world. Every single time there's any type of solo tournament, he is on the top of the leaderboards on OC. Like, take a look at how many solo tournaments he has won just in the past year alone. It's absolutely crazy. And of course, he did it once again just earlier this morning by winning the solo series on OC, basically booking his trip into the heats already. And he did this without going too crazy with the elims, without doing any crazy strategies, and everything he does in this video, you guys can copy and learn. I'm gonna break down his high kill first game, exactly what strats he's using in that, as well as how he won this game in high-low with a very unique strategy that you can all use, have success today. So let's go straight into this with this first game. All right, first things first, Oatly is of course landing it in a loop labs to drop a high kill first game. You don't need to drop a high kill first game to do good in solos and solo series, but it definitely does help if you're a strong fighter, which of course Oatly is. So let's break down how he gets all of these elims during the mid game and the early game. And for this first elim during the early game right here, he plays it very, very well. And the main reason he plays it so well is he is patient while he's fighting. He doesn't just run in on an unknown angle. Instead, what he's doing is constantly using his third person to sort of peek around the corner. He spots the opponent's knees and shoulder popping out right there, and he does a very, very nice play. And this is something I talked about in a recent video, is sliding got a really big buff, as you can slide with such good acceleration now, and Oatly is using it the whole time whenever he's fighting to reposition and change up his angles. Like even right here, just sliding and making sure he's in a better spot, catches the opponent off guard with a 100 tag right there. And again, he's not taking a risk with this fight. He's not trying to end it instantly. Instead, he gets himself back up to 150, pressures the opponent, doesn't get straight on the wall, just sprays through and gets a nice easy elim right there. And even in this next fight, he does a very, very similar thing. He spots there's two people fighting downstairs. He doesn't waste time popping his big pot, which is sort of unnecessary at this point in the game. The other player who's just done fighting is probably going to be lower HP than he is. And what does he do? He comes over, not sure where the opponent is. He looks with the third person. As you can see, he spots the sort of gun barrel just poking out through the wall down there. Spots the opponent, does a nice bit of piece control, goes around and swaps the angle, and now perfect right hand peek, like literally textbook right hand peek on the corner. Doesn't involve taking damage. It is quite easy to get one pump by these shotguns if you do a bad peek. You make sure to avoid it at all costs. All right, these next three fights are some very important things you can learn from, because as you can see, Oatly is basically just full milked, and he is now 2 HP on the defensive, and there's two players that are fighting him. So how does he live this scenario? First thing he does is he makes a 2x1 away from both the players, and he also like triple layers it. So you can see he's got a wall, he's got a stair, and another wall if he was to get pressure or get sprayed. And luckily for him, the other players start fighting and engaging, and he's able to just chill and make even more space. This player though is pretty good, and he realizes, okay, this guy's 1 HP, I just tagged him white, let me get on the wall. So what does Oatly do? He goes for an insta top right edit, as you can see like that. Top right where he'd be protected, he'd be able to get a free shot. Fortunately for him, he missed the edit, and immediately upon missing this edit, look what he does. He edits, he makes even more space back, and just like before, he's now triple layered towards the opponent. And you might think, oh, it's not really a triple layer. You can see the opponent's going to start pressuring this wall, but the reason why this is such a good setup to have is as the opponent pressures the wall, what does Oatly do? He just moves back behind this arch edit that he's got, and now as you can see, as the opponent's pressure in the top, he is a natural sort of right hand peek. It's very hard for the opponent to actually do any damage to Oatly here and stop him from healing. He's able to get his big pot off, goes for a timing shot, and now he is sort of reset and he's ready to continue fighting. The thing is, when you want to re-engage in a fight like this, you kind of want the third party to do a bit of work for you. You can see the third party pressures this player away. That guy starts trying to jetpack away in the open, gets taken out, and now Oatly is in a 1v1 versus this other pretty decent player, and he does a very nice play. Goes for a chop out, goes for an ADS pump, steals the chug jug from that loot, as well as, nicely here, is he gets the stair control on this opponent. And again, another small edit mess up. You can see he's trying to do like a right hand window and then crouch into it and get a shot off. He just messes up once again. And the thing is with fighting, if you make a mistake, like you miss an edit, you kind of want to be good enough at fighting where it's not going to get you killed. It's so important that you practice fighting, so you're not just doing like crazy risky plays where you die if you miss an edit. Now, Oatly gets straight on the wall. You can see what's the opponent is just holding it and not holding it as pump, trying to pre-fire. So he's able to get it, cone slide, reset the wall as well with the pump break, and now the opponent gets caught in the open. And this is something you guys need to practice this season, is ADS pumps with this shotgun are like absolutely broken. Like it's basically a guaranteed 120 shot, like 110 plus. And if you aim for the head as well, or aim for upper chest, you're always going to be hitting a 150, and you can have an easy time of taking out your opponent. Now, Oatly gets W-keyed once again by another third party right here. So what does he do? First thing he's doing, as you guys might notice, is he is crouching. And you need to start doing this whenever you're on the defensive, is don't just start building millions of boxes and, you know, chilling in the open. Crouch, make it awkward for your opponent to know where you are. Now you can see the opponent is trying to get on the wall. what does Oatly do? He goes for an instant, nice wide edit, hard for the opponent to hit the wall right here, hits 110, and just like that, the opponent's in a bad spot. And this is what I was talking about, is you need to practice fighting. So if you make a small mistake, you don't just instantly die like this other player does. He made a small mistake, he didn't get the wall low enough for him to actually break it. Oatly is a nice quick open wide edit, and just like that, the opponent's out of the game, and Oatly is still alive despite trading a couple bits of damage. Now, another thing that Oatly is so good at when it comes to mid-game fighting is making sure he's always doing the correct setup. So as you can see right here, the opponent makes a load of space. I'm sure you guys struggle with this when somebody makes like a 2x3, they make loads of boxes. How do you actually approach this box, and how do you not get caught off guard by them trying to piece you? So what does Oatly do is he realizes, okay, this side wall to the left here isn't too important. The main critical wall is going to be this wall right here, which is what he pressures, and he also makes sure to edit his cone and block off the shot from the opponent, as you can see, and then he goes in. And the reason he's going in here, despite this not being, you know, a safe box to go into, is first of all, he's got this low HP wall that he can potentially take back, but also, more importantly, the opponent hasn't placed a wall over to this side, as you can see here. He also hasn't got any type of cone in his box, you can see, and that's going to make it very easy for Oatly to manipulate the piece. What does he do? He fake pickaxes, waits for the insta edit. He already knows this guy just insta edit a second ago, gets to stay in the box, gets the wall to the side like I mentioned, and just like that, gets an easy elim on this other player that was making loads of space. If somebody makes loads of space, they've got all the pieces in the box, that's obviously where you need to make sure you're being a bit more careful as you approach them. And just in this next fight, it's a perfect example of this. So let's get to it. Oatly is once again playing a little bit defensive. He's getting third party a lot in this fight, and he wants to continue to, you know, actually take out this fight. So what does he do? He chops down the opponent. It's chopped by a third party as well. Gets on the wall, and immediately upon getting the wall, as he makes space back and sits all the way back. And it's so important, this thing I talked about in my fishy volume the other day, is whenever you do a peek like this, don't stand all the way back in the box where it's quite hard, you have to swing quite a lot to get in. Instead, you want to be hugging close to the wall like this, like very, very close. As you can see, the opponent can't even see Oatly right here because of, you know, where he's pickaxing from. He's not protecting, you know, this wall, which is kind of the critical wall that you're going to get right and peeked on. Instead, he's focused just on this wall over here, and he makes a big mistake. He gets shot. Oatly immediately gets the cone on top of him and gets him in the full box, and just like that, there's nothing this guy can really do. Tries to hit the angel, no chance he's going to win that fight. It's literally so important in fighting, whether it's defensive or offensive, you're always doing a good setup, because that's what's going to get you killed 90% of the time. All right, now heading into Oatly's end game for the W key game, I want to show you guys what you shouldn't do with a jetpack. I mean, if you hadn't already realized, you should always be doing the high walls to protect yourself before you go, and you also don't want to be going first at all points to the jetpack. As you can see, this guy makes two mistakes as he goes first, so everybody looks at him, and he also, as you can see here, doesn't cover himself and just goes out the top of his box, goes flying through the air. And if you've got good aim, I'd really recommend doing some aim training with this new gun. You can very easily get kills out the air just like that. And of course, Oatly is going to go for this refresh, right? Just getting a refresh before endgame, basically giving the best thing you can do to win the game. And Oatly immediately realizes there's somebody else trying to steal his loot. He pieces him up, catches him completely unaware. As he jumps in here, he gets the cone as well, as you can see. Has the opponent trapped in the cone, and now all he needs to do is drop the opponent down, gets an easy double refresh just like that. And of course, once you get good mats in one of these first dead games, pretty much the best strat you can do is just full send high, which is exactly what Oatly's going to do in a second here. Gets himself fully healed up, goes all the way front side up this hill right here, gets another refresh once again on somebody, and now he's going to just crank and take kite. And this is exactly what I want you guys to do in your first game. Just try to take kite nice and early after a refresh, and you should have a very easy time of winning it and getting a good start to the solo series. All right, now let's go take a look at some actual high-elo stacked games where you have to use a different strategy to get the best placement possible. All right, now for the high-elo game, I'm not gonna lie guys, you need to be doing this strategy. I actually think this is probably the best thing you can do. So Oatly did the exact same things before. He landed in the loot labs, and he's gonna rotate pretty central to, you know, center of the map. As you can see, if you ever want to know where the center of the map is, just sort of visually, you know, do this and then choose somewhere within this circle, as you can see right here, like somewhere in here, and you're gonna pull the next pretty much 4 zones, almost guaranteed, when you do this strategy. So good to do. And Oatly does it exactly here, as you can see. And what he does is he fishes for the next like 5 or 6 minutes straight. Like he literally does nothing but fish over and over, as you can see. And he's going to get himself basically the optimal loadout, I would say, this season. I was watching a few VODs last night inside the academy with a bunch of players who were getting coaching in there. And this is basically the best strategy you can do in solos. He gets 5 shieldfish, 4 floppers, and plays pump only, as you can see, up until the partial zone. And just like I said, you guys remember where I drew that circle a second ago? Pretty much that entire center of the map, if you just shrink it in after second zone, is going to be pulling zones over and over. And you can see Oatly is going to rotate on foot for this next zone with this sort of optimal loadout. The key thing is with the jetpack is you don't need to really use it for a lot of rotates. A lot of people are trying to overcook with it. They're trying to use the jetpack every single zone. And what does Oatly do? Is he rotates, he gets himself all the way in on foot right here. He makes absolutely no risk. He's not like running up something where he could get awareness checked, and he gets himself towards the dead side right here. The really key thing is with this season is you want to avoid being on this congested side at all costs, because unless you pull zone, you're going to have such a tough time on the next rotate towards the max distance 6 zone, or even if you get a half distance 6 zone, it's going to be very, very tough. However, Oatly, as you can see right here, he's in a 1x1. He's in a very, very nice spot. He's an easy rotate, even though he pulls zone right here. Even if it was to pull up this way or up this way, he's got quite an easy rotate. You can do it on foot. You can use a jetpack for a little bit. Everybody down here on this congested side, especially because they've not been fishing for the whole game, they're not like super stacked on heals at this point in time, they're going to have such a tough time in the rotate versus Oatly. He, of course, has a nice and easy time to rotate the zone. Going to go on foot, going to just get in on edge, and he's going to do absolutely nothing. He's making zero mistakes by playing super passive, and this is why I'm a big fan of playing shotgun only. It stops you being dumb, it stops you shooting everybody on rotates, it stops you, being really aggro for no reason, and instead it forces you to play a lot smarter. So I definitely recommend this strategy. All right, if you guys are enjoying this video so far, please go check out the Masterclass Academy down below. We are literally doing daily coaching every single day for the next 2 weeks straight, and if you sign up today, you'll get all of the previous sessions that you've met. So you can see there's a whole bunch of sessions right here. We've also got one tonight that's going to be looking at a load of mistakes that you need to fix for this season, and it's literally the perfect opportunity to prep all this $1 million Unreal tournament that's happening in 2 weeks time. And again, it's only $9. It's literally the best value thing you can buy in Fortnite, and you get a ton of coaching, a ton of useful information, as well as a lot of pro insights. We just had a session with Virgo last night, taking a look at how to earn in duos, and we're gonna have a bunch more pro coaches and pro players joining us for these daily coaching sessions. I'll see you guys inside, and let's crack on with the rest of the video. All right, now, one thing that a lot of people that I see whenever I watch solo VODs are struggling with is this rotate right here. The main issue why it's so difficult is most people, they're not in a good spot going into the zone, and Oatly's kind of avoided that. As you can see, he's not on a super high layer, but he's in a very, very good spot where he's up on this mountain, so he's naturally got like a nice easy rotate with the jetpack. You compare that to somebody, like this guy down here on the bottom of the map, right? He is gonna have a very, very tough time rotating this zone. Even like this guy over here, even though they're like kind of isolated, the fact that they've got to rotate so far with the jetpack is gonna make it very, very tough to do. However, Oatly, up on the hill, he has a very easy time of rotating the zone. What does he do? He builds a nice little jetpack box, make sure he's fully protected, sits back for a second, and he's gonna look and listen and just wait for this noise right here. And that noise is everybody jetpacking at the same time. That tells him that he's not going to get jumped on. He's not going to get, completely aped when he rotates. And he's going to have a nice, easy time of rotating without getting shot out the air. You can see he's going to jetpack up just like this. And he's going to stay nice and high in the air. You don't want to dive down too early on this type of zone. You're going to try to stay up. And you also want to try to land as deep as possible on zones. That's exactly what Oatly does. He lands as deep as possible, builds his 1x1, doesn't do anything, just holds out a shotgun and looks around, tries to find a refresh. And this is when it is so important that you are active and looking for a refresh before moving zones. So many people is they wait until they're like 200 mats and then they start to look for a refresh. Oatly here, he looks for a refresh the entire time. First of all, he spots there's a body on the floor over here and he wants to try to get some of the extra loot. So you can see he's trying to get the extra loot, and this is the benefit of having the shield fish, is as he gets punished in a second here, he gets hit 100, is he can instantly get himself back up to full HP. He can continue to aggress and try to get even more of the loot. This player makes a mistake, doesn't cover his angles, has the wall that Oatly grabbed earlier. He's able to edit it, gets a nice free shot, and just like that, as you can see, gets a huge refresh, 1000 mets just before first moving, as well as because of that kill, pretty much everybody else is going to be carrying an AR. So if you play shotgun only, you get a nice easy kill, or you steal some loot on the floor from somebody dying out the air with a jetpack, you're going to have such an easy time getting a perfect loadout for in-game. And right here, this is absolutely perfect. He's got the floppers to tank storm if needed, got the shield fish for quick heals, and of course, he's going to do the same strat with the jetpack, going to build the high walls, he's going to listen for other people jetpacking. If we go to drone 3 real quick, you guys can see 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 people already jetpacking. It's going to make it very easy for Oatly to jetpack, and he's not going to get tagged at all as he flies here. He's just going to stay nice and high up, and it is so important that you choose a good spot to land on your jetpack. Honestly, I think a good play here would be to land and tank front side. Oatly makes a nice call to just land and try to stay on a high layer. Fortunately for him, he gets dropped down a little bit. You need to be aware when you land with the jetpack, just for example, you need to land on the front of the cone because you get a little bit of momentum that takes you forward. So you need to land basically on the front of the cone if you want to land on somebody's head. You don't want to land on like the back or the side because you're just going to get flung off and fall down to low ground like Oatly did there by mistake. However, he's immediately able to recover it. He starts scouting, plans out his next rotate, and and he's going to start looking for even more refreshes. Right, now, my number one advice for you guys, if you struggle at getting refreshes in solos, and I spent so many times trying to figure out what's the best strat for this, is just to go for a lot of plays and also try to go for opportunistic plays by having a lot of info. So you can see right here, Oatly is basically just looking. He's not looking for like a spray kill down on ulti low ground that he's never going to get. That's kind of useless to do. Like you could maybe try to kill somebody. He's also not looking to like get a 200 out the air with a jetpack. Instead, what he's trying to do is spot an opportunity where somebody else makes a mistake and he's able to go for a refresh. And this guy right here is, you know, doing a pretty standard good play. He's looking down. What does Oatly do? He runs over, places a stair, completely catches him unaware, and just like that, he's going to get on the wall. And the really key thing Oatly does that's nice here is he blocks the angles that are most important as he goes for this refresh. You can see where enough he gone. He's blocking most of the angles, so when he gets on the wall, he's kind of protected from LeBron Blue right here, getting on the wall, and he's able to get a free shot just like that. And he's also able to get into the box nice and safely, get the elim, and immediately after getting the elim, he prioritizes grabbing the mats and getting straight out of the box. You can see he goes back the way he came, which is why it's so important to have an extra box set up. He goes back the way he came, good mechanics to flip the stair and get out the box, and he immediately does another jetpack rotate. So basically double jetpacking, burst moving. This is something that I was thinking is probably the meta this season, is trying to use 2 jetpacks. If you weren't getting a refresh, what you would do is, let's say you got a box like here, is you would jump out the back of your box. You basically hop out the back of your box and jetpack straight up like that and be able to land, you know, end of zone just like here, and you'd have a very, very easy time of rotating. Only though, he just got the refresh, so he wants to get out of there as quick as possible before he starts getting jumped on. He just does a nice open jetpack, and again, you normally want to do this out the back of the box so you don't take any damage and you don't get spotted by anybody. And right here, when you jetpack, you know, end of first moving, getting deeper, because it's very, very nice, because first of all, you can get way deeper, so you have an easy rotate next. And also, you know, if you've got floppers, you can tank storm. You can also scout height while you're doing this, and Oatly is already thinking about how he's going to start taking height in a second and able to win the game. Now, for the second refresh that Oatly get, this is actually a really good example, is he spots somebody gets cracked, and the guy makes the very, very common mistake, pulling out his mini straight away. If you ever get cracked like that, never ever try to heal up straight away, because everybody around you is going to see that you're in fresh metal, fresh builds. They're going to spot you popping a mini, and Oatly's going to run over, blocks all the angles, gets on the wall, also does a nice high wall right there, which he's going to use to get the kill. Phone replace, gets the elim, and immediately upon getting this elim, he grabs the mats and builds an extra box to protect himself. You can see, and the extra box is so useful because everybody else in the server, as soon as they see somebody dies, they're going to start smacking, they're going to try to get in. This guy's completely shambles. You don't want to be fighting these players that are trying to steal your refresh. Instead, what you want to do is get straight out of the box like Oatly does right there and get ready for second moving. And there's a lot of moving zones this season, so you need to always be ready when the zones actually pull. And right here, this would be a perfect opportunity, in my opinion. I don't know if it's like a major mistake by Oatly. As you can see, he's in a really busy spot. I think he should run out the back here and jetpack from in storm. As you can see, jetpack all the way up and over and then land front side. And that's the benefit of being, you know, a little bit deeper on zone. And if you weren't really fighting for a refresh, you'd have an easy time of doing those jetpacks from back in storm. Oatly though, he's very, very good at foot rotating. So what does he do? He layers up a whole bunch of times, goes towards the edge of zone, keeps on layering up just like that. And now, as soon as he's got a refresh, I mean, you guys have watched my videos for like, you know, a few years now. You should know as soon as you get a refresh in solos, what should you do? Start looking at height. And that's exactly what Oatly does, of course. One of the best solo players in the world is he immediately gets a refresh, starts spraying out, starts sort of conditioning height, continues to rotate towards front side and continues to look at height. And just like that, a little bit of pressure. The guy was like, you know, trying to be really confident planting height in metal. As soon as he gets a little bit of pressure, he gives up height and Oatly spots that it's completely free. What does he do? He double checks it a couple times, goes up, makes sure he's connected in metal here, and just like that, he's in a position where he can win the game. A little bit different style than that low elo win we looked at earlier, where you get a refresh, you know, before first moving and then take height, because this game is a little bit more stacked. You need to get a refresh, you know, a little bit later and then take height. And the thing is, the reason why height is so strong is nobody can really come up and take it unless you get awareness checked by somebody, you know, going backside or chopping you out. The nice thing is when you're up on height like this, nobody can jetpack up, nobody can even try to attempt to retake. If you keep pressuring the second height players, you're gonna have such an easy time of winning multiple games in a row. And even if you do get chopped, what do? You just jetpack straight up in the air and then land on height once again. Oatly gets chopped. What does he do? Lands, cranks up to height once again, and he's going to maintain height for the rest of the game. Just like that. At this point in time, Oatly is on height once again, but he's still very, very shambles. So there's quite an important thing you need to do whenever you're up on height, like right here, is have good awareness and also try to get some mats back very, very conservatively. And one of the best ways to do that is, of course, farm trees. I was talking about that, but also whenever people get knocked and they've got the self-res, it's like a perfect moment for you to like run down and steal the loot or maybe get a double refresh when you're up on height, like right here. As you can see, player right there, it's a little bit risky to go for that one, but another player that is knocked with the self-res is so hard for the person who actually got the kill to actually get the self-res loot. So what does Oatley do? He jumps down, steals it, gets an absolutely mammoth refresh, and of course he's going to sit up and play height once again. And this is the benefit of playing height, is it's really, like, literally almost impossible to lose height at this point in the game. If you've got good AR ammo, one good strat you can do to get a lot of AR ammo is just go to vending machines and buy ammo over and over. Once you're up here with cap ammo, it's so hard to lose the game. All Oatley does is stay up, he layers down once again, continues to farm the tree, and ends up bouncing back right here in the top 3 situation. And what does he do? He just stays up, continues to pressure a little bit, continues to farm the tree, and he gets himself into the situation where he's in a nice and easy 1v1. And this is the benefit of high ground, is look at this final zone for this other player. Like, how does this other player win this game when it's pulling straight up a cliff right here? There's so much difficulty of terrain. Like, just look at this, whole end game area. No matter where the zone pulls, it's going to play into high ground's favor and into Oatley's hands. What does Oatley do? He continues to pressure, does get chopped down a little bit, immediately goes back up after trading a little bit of damage, pops a flopper for quick kills, and continues to look for a little bit of chip damage on the opponent. This guy does a good play by jetpacking up, but I mean, there's really nothing he can do right here. Despite going absolutely nuclear on the low ground, high ground is just too strong in this season, and Oatley gets a win right there.